Hello again, and welcome to the second podcast of the NDE radio on YouTube. I have another amazing experience to tell you about, and I'm going to start right now. Experience description. My father took my mother, sister, and myself to my aunt's for a visit while he was at work one day. My mother and her sister were making a quilt. My three cousins and my sister and I were told to go to the basement to play in the playroom because it was raining outside. We decided to play horse and rider, a game where we tied a skipping rope around our neck and go on our hands and knees while another person sat on your back and you rode them around. I was picked to be the horse, and my older cousin tied a skipping rope in knots around my neck. I told her it was too tight and to loosen it. She instead tied it tighter, which made it hard for me to breathe. I asked her he again to loosen it, and again he made it tighter and said she could not do it. I was getting very little hair this time. In a panic, I said to my younger sister, "Get it off," which she tried but could not get the knots out. She said, "Go get Mom." I started for the stairs, but felt myself fall down and slipped in total darkness. I was able to brake, but it felt like I was blind and I was scared to death and afraid to move. I could hear scary sounds in the dark, which I could not see, and started to cry. Suddenly I saw a white light in the distance and thought I should try to get there, but I was too scared to move in the dark. It sounded like someone was walking towards me, but I could not see them. Suddenly I felt someone pick me up in their arms, and I was surrounded by light, and I looked into the smiling face of a man who said his name was Jesus. He told me not to be frightened. He was here to take me back. He had shoulder-length brown hair and dark brown eyes. He was wearing leather sandals on his feet with straps that went between his toes and tied around his ankles. He had on a long white gown with long gig sleeves with a long light blue tunic over it. There was a gold-colored rope tied around his waist. His voice was very soft and kind, almost musical, and I felt a feeling of pure love and completely safety and trust. As we were walking up the stairs, I noticed that the left side of the wall was still basement wall, but the right side of the wall disappeared, and in its place was a beautiful garden full of long grass and wild flowers. I could hear birds singing, and there were butterflies flying. I could see little children playing and chasing little lambs, and I could hear their laughter. It looked so much fun. I asked if I could go play with the kids, and was told no. There was no time today for that. I have had you too long as it is. He told me to me a good girl and made me promise to tell the world about what I saw, and if I did that, when my time comes, I will be able to walk in the garden with him. He had kissed my forehead, but his hand on the basement door and said, "You go back now, child, it's not your time," and the door opened and stood me on the floor. I was not able to breathe and was gulping in air. My mother and aunt came running and cut the rope of my neck. My neck was all red and sore, and my voice was all hoarse. My mother said, "How did you get up the stairs like that?" I said, "I didn't. The man carried me up," and my mom and aunt said together, "What man?" My aunt yelled downstairs, "Girls, is there a man down here?" They all said no, there was no man. I said there was a man, and he did carry me. They did not believe me. I went back down in the basement and asked my cousins and sister about the man, which they did not see. My sister said she saw me fall and stared to come help, but she said I disappeared when she got to the stairs. No one saw me being carried. I had a big cut on my chin where I hit the bottom step when I went into the complete blackness. Everyone saw me fall and disappear. No one saw me going up the stairs. After my experience, I would say things and they would happen, and it scared my family, and my mother took me aside and told me she believed me. But it was scaring everyone, so when you think you know something, keep it to yourself. I would know that someone was going to die in 3 days and would tell my family, and 3 days later they died. My grandmother told my father that the devil had a hold of me. It scared her so bad that my mother made me keep quiet when things like that came to me. I still know today if someone I know or knew is going to die. It's something I got used to and often shares it alone. I've also seen and spoken to spirits. My dead father-in-law called me on the phone the day he was buried and told me I was the only one he was allowed to contact. He wanted me to tell my mother-in-law that he was all right. He told me he was with a man who knew me, and when I asked him who, he told me he was with the man who carried me up the basement stairs when I was 6 years old. I never told my father-in-law about my experience, so I left me stunned. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this experience. I hope to see you guys soon again. Bye bye.